You know, the reason why I dress modest so hard, the reason why I talk about modesty, or the reason why I really stand with God because of who I was before to who I am today. God could have kept me in my filth, but he actually came down and he rescued me. And he didn't leave me there. And hello you guys, welcome back to Lighthouse Ministries. If you don't know who I am Deja. You can call me Deja. And today you guys, I am telling my story / testimony. I am telling you guys how I received my predator's flesh and how God helped me remove it from my flesh. So I always had this demonic force always behind me, this demonic seed, demonic thought behind me, and he was always following me everywhere. He was giving me thoughts, he was giving me emotions, and he was pushing me to this certain situation of my life. It all started maybe when I was about, I'm gonna say 15 to 16. I was in high school at that time, so it had to be 15 to 16. And at this time, I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head of beauty and gluttony. And them the two main things he used for me. And I will tell you guys further what that spirit specifically is. But in this story, we only talking about, you know, like I said at the beginning, how I received my predator's flesh. And it was this one time where I wanted something for beauty. I wanted to get my hair done. I wanted to get a lot of things for my beauty, and I couldn't receive it at that moment. So I got irritated and frustrated. But then it was this one guy, which is my grandmother's boyfriend, husband, or whatever you want to call him. He was always chasing me since I was a child. She was dating him for multiple years, and I never understood why he always looked at me in a certain way. Ladies know when they see a pervert, they see one. You can feel it, you can see the eyes on you. And he will always look at me weird, but me being a child, I didn't understand. And he will always confront me on it and try to lead me towards a certain darkness, like, or lead me towards the basement, or lead me towards a dark part of my grandmother's house. But I never went because I was afraid. But it got to a point where I was 15 when I officially ended up going towards that dark hole with him. At the beginning of the video, I didn't have what I wanted, which was for food and hair. I wanted to get those things. And one day I was sitting down, I wanted these things so bad, and a thought came. The thought was to text or call this person. And I did. I had his number in my phone, and I ended up texting or calling him. Actually, no. I believe I got his number from somewhere else, and I ended up texting and calling him. And he answered. And I told him that I needed these things. And he said, okay, but you have to do something for me. And I figured maybe clean up, you know, what teenagers do to get money. Maybe clean up, take the trash out, maybe mow the lawn. You know, something that a teenager would do to receive money at that time. But no, it was something totally different. So that day, I didn't go to school. I ended up lying, of course, saying I was at school, but I actually wasn't. And I lived it down the street from my grandmother. So you knew that was somehow a dark demonic connection right there. I literally could just walk to her house. It was like maybe about 4 to 5 blocks down. And I ended up going there that day. And in my thoughts, I was going back and forth like, maybe I should go back, maybe I should go to school. But the demonic thoughts kept being, just go. You're gonna get money. You're gonna be able to do your hair. You're gonna be able to get the food you want. Just go. So I just went. I'm like, you know what, fine, I'm gonna just go. And I went down there, and it just seemed like something was going to happen that I didn't expect to happen. And it did. I went down there. My grandma had she had a whole house, so I went up the stairs. And like I said before, he was always trying to lead me up the stairs. He was always trying to lead me towards the basement. He was always trying to lead me towards a dark realm to do these things. And I got up there, and so as I got to my grandmother's house, I go up the stairs, and it was this room where it was empty, and it was a chair sitting in there. And I sat there for a while as he came in, and he directed me to start taking my clothes off. And that's what I did. If you was wondering what's going through my mind probably blanked out at this time. One thing that spirit did was blink out my mind a lot when I went to these type of things to do those things. So Like I said, he directed me to take my clothes off. He began to take pictures of me, and then he began to group and touch. We did not have sex because this is just a perverted thing that was going on, which was just touching. And I sat there and allowed him to touch. I was afraid that someone was going to come, but no one never did. I was hoping somebody would have came though, but nobody never showed up at that time. And he ended up touching, taking pictures, like I said, and he ended up, ejecting, I guess you can call it, but it wasn't on me. He actually ended up doing it in the bathroom, and I seen it. And that's when it stopped. I put my clothes on, and then he gave me the money, and then I left. So as I'm walking back, actually, no, I'm sorry, I've had to tell you this part. I went to school after this because I had to pretend that I was still at school. And the feeling that I received after that, I can't even look at myself in the mirror. I was so disgusted feeling. I was so ashamed. I was so just, why did I do that for money? And I didn't understand why I did it. Of course, the spirit of beauty and gluttony was leading me there also, but I was ashamed and I was disgusted, and it caused me to be in a depressed mindset. But the thought went to my head, you got money, so oh well. You can spend it on whatever you want to spend it on. So I ended up going home, and I ended up spending it on hair and food. I got me some hair, went to the beauty supply store, and I went to the store that was across the street from my home that time and got me sugar. And to this day, I still can't eat sugar. So this didn't happen just one time. It did happen again in 1 week. And he texted my phone the next couple days, I say. And at that time, I needed more stuff. I wanted more food and more things like that I couldn't receive at the moment of what I wanted. And he texted me again, and he was like, do you want McDonald's? And I was like, yeah, why not? But we ended up doing it in the car this time around, in the back of my home this time. And this time it was the same way. I don't think it was photos this time though. It was just more of grouping and touching and feeling. And that day he texted me. I believe he probably dropped my grandmother off at work at that time. And he came to my house. I don't remember if it was school or not that I had that day. I think it was the weekend. So I don't think I was at school at that time. It was definitely the weekend. And he came to the back of my house in his car, and we did it in the car. Same type of thing we did before, just grouping and touching and feeling. Nothing too we didn't have XEX at all, but it was a lot of grouping and touching that I told you guys that the spirit I dealt with before. And he ended up taking me to McDonald's. That time it was the same feeling of disgust. Why am I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? In the back of my head, it's starting to feel good for some reason though. Even though it was defilement, it was dirty, it was filth. In the back of my head, I was starting to enjoy this pleasure for some odd reason. And then he took me to McDonald's, like I said, and I ate that, and then I went back home. And then the next couple days, he ended up texting me, and he tried to introduce XEX to me eventually. But I shut him down because I felt like I couldn't take it that far. And if I think about it now, it's a reason why, because the spirit that was behind it didn't want me to take it that far. So that's why I shut it down. It only wanted me to be grouped at that time. So I didn't get the thought to do it because it only wanted me to stay in the grouping part of the demonic things. If you're interested of understanding what this grouping spirit is, I did make a previous video on it so you can understand what that particular spirit is, because that's the spirit he had, was mostly a grouping spirit. So that was the first time I actually did something for money. And it wasn't the last, but that was the very first time where I began to do an exchange of money of doing sexual activity with other people. So now we get to the part, since y'all know the backstory of how you had to do something to receive someone's flesh, my predator's flesh, is now we get into the part where I begin to like to be perverted that way. I begin to want to be perverted. Before I met my husband and I lost my virginity, I wanted to be perverted in that way. And if I was not receiving that type of perversion, I didn't want it. I didn't want to receive it. Every time I would lay down and have XEX with a guy, I would lay there because I wanted to feel. I didn't want to be engaged. I didn't want to feel love. I wanted to be grouped and perverted. So at that time, I did receive my predator's flesh, but I also received a spirit spouse. And that grouping spirit was my spirit spouse. And what that spirit spouse was doing to me was breaking off every relationship until I met my husband. And I'm gonna tell you guys, that wasn't easy. That was a tough one. By the time I met my husband, I couldn't feel anything. So I'm gonna tell you guys from the beginning. When we first met, we did try to have intimacy, good intimacy, but he gave me the thoughts of my predator's feelings, the flesh, the emotions. I will see my predator's face every time me and my husband would try to be intimate. So he tried to break off what he did. He didn't try, he did break off my intimacy with the husband I do have now. And he tried to really just try to have me break up with him multiple times because he knew that this was going to be the relationship that was going to kick him out. I didn't know, but he knew. So he tried to apply a lot of pressure to have me leave this man, but God didn't allow it. And as years went along, my husband had to become this predator. He had to become this perverted old man to get me this pleasure that I wanted. And it wasn't good because it was opening doors to him and was opening more doors to me because I was still feeding the spirit by allowing my husband to become something that he is not. So it gets to the part where now I'm walking with Christ, but I'm still having these thoughts. So when people say that Christian people can't have demons, they're lying. And I'm the evidence of that. I will still have these spirit spouse dreams where I'm getting grouped in my dreams every now and then. And it will occur maybe every day, twice a day. And I will ask God, why am I feeling this? This is not good. Why do I like to be grouped? Why can't I feel the love that you have created for a marriage to have? Why can't I feel what my husband is feeling? I couldn't feel it. And I couldn't receive it either because my intimacy was trapped in perversion. The intimacy that I wanted was demonic type of intimacy. And I couldn't receive the type of intimacy that God created. And God began to give me dreams. He began to tell me to go back. And he began to show me where it all started, which was that part of my life when I was 15. The reason why you cannot feel the real love, the real intimacy, because you are married to something demonic. You are married to, you have a spirit spouse, and he is allowing you to feel what he feels and what he wants you to feel. And that's why you cannot feel what you should be feeling, which is real intimacy, which is real love. So I kind of got off subject a little bit. We're supposed to be talking about flesh. God gave me a dream of this little girl. And and I knew directly he was talking about because how the image was. This little girl, and she was in my grandmother's house. So I knew he was talking about me, but he presented the little girl. And the little girl and my grandmother's boyfriend did something. He touched the little girl. And she received his flesh by how he liked the big breasts. And at first I didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, what that have to do with me? Because God sees everything. So I began to like big breasts as much as he liked a big breast. It would be times where I would see a big breasted woman and it would give me a tingle. It would give me a feel. It would give me an arousal, the word I'm looking for. And I would be like, I was ashamed of that because first of all, I shouldn't be aroused to another woman. I shouldn't be even looking at this woman. That's against God. And I would get aroused and have a certain feeling that would make me want to do something. And I was like, where did this come? Because I never liked the big breasts. I even dated a girl at some point in my life and she had big breasts. It's crazy because at that time where I was dating that woman, when we was mostly talking, I just wanted to group her like he grouped me. I just wanted to touch her. I never wanted to actually do anything more stronger. I just wanted to group her. And that's another scenario. And in the dream, he was like, the reason why you are having thoughts of this big breasted women or you feel some type of way because you have caught his flesh. You have caught something he liked it. So now it's something you are liking. And I was like, how is that even possible? So in 1 Corinthians 6:16, it talks about how you can be joined together with a prostitute, how you guys becomes one flesh. And that is how my scenario is. We was joined together because I did something sexual with him, and I received a demonic flesh that was from him. And I began to like that demonic flesh that came from him, and I didn't understand why. And I was so ashamed of that. But now, at that time, I understood why I liked the big breasts. I understood why I liked it to be perverted or molested at that time, because I received the flesh that was from somebody else. So as years went down the line, I would have a lot of fantasies about older men. It would arouse me. It will get me turned on. It will get me to a point. It will get me off. Like I said before, sometimes my husband had to role play as an older guy, and I was this little girl. And it wasn't good because we were still feeding that spirit, not knowing. Unknowingly, we was feeding a spirit that we didn't know that was even there. And I will always have fantasies about dating an old guy, or wanting to be with an old guy, or more wanted to be grouped by one. And it was this time where I was working at this home care job, and I was working with this old guy, Mr. Vic, RIP to Mr. Vic. I was working with Mr. Vic, and there would be times where I would sit there and thoughts and flashes will come of Mr. Vic touching me. He was an older gentleman. He was to the point where he was dating on his way out. And I'm like, why am I having thoughts of this man doing this to me? Because I still had a flesh that wasn't mine. And I would have those thoughts constantly. I would have those emotions, feelings all the time of wanting to be dating an older guy. So I ain't gonna say final part, but one part I wanted to say is how it affected my marriage. It affected my marriage to the point where my husband would want to be intimate, and he would want to touch me, but I didn't want it. I wanted to be perverted, and when he didn't want to pervert me, I would fight him, argue with him, fight. I got to the point where we probably broke up multiple times because of this occurrence right here. And it'd be times where I would scream, I hate you, I don't want to be with you, leave me alone, because I couldn't get that certain feel out because of I received it somebody else's flesh. And it created something so dark in our marriage that it'd be nice where I don't even want to sleep in the bed with him. I want him to be somewhere else, or I want to be somewhere else, because I couldn't get that perversion, that perverted thing that I wanted. But he didn't want to pervert me. But it'd be times where it just happened, and it was just. So after all this occurred and all this happened, I shielded myself off from my grandmother's house for a very long time. I closed the door. I never wanted to go to her house. I never wanted to even step in her car. And from I closed this door, and I shielded it for a very long time. I probably look ugly while crying, but this is real. I never wanted to step back into my grandmother's house again after that. It got to a point where I didn't even want to talk to her, and she didn't understand. And I stepped away from her. I stepped away from that house. I never went to her house. I always used to go to my grandmother's house since I was a child. But once that happened to me, I couldn't hold the trauma that was there in that home. I couldn't hold the emotion. I couldn't hold the thought that really happened at that time. And it affected me in a way where I didn't even want my own daughter to be around. And it got to a point where I stopped wanting to go, I stopped wanting to be around my mom's boyfriends, because I figured that maybe they'll get that mindset, or I'll get that mindset, and I would do that with them. So I will always be in my room. I will always never want to be around because of that. We're gonna end it on something good. If you watch the video this long, it got pretty dark, but remember that you can't get to the light until you reveal the darkness. What God did was brought me back, but he cleansed me, and I repented and I confessed it for even going down there. But today, I love my husband wholeheartedly. Today, I don't feel those thoughts or those spirits. Without God stepping in, I would probably be the same person, but much worse. And this is all God that's getting shown in this video, how his goodness, his mercy, his grace, and his Holy Spirit can make you become a better person. You know, the reason why I dress modest so hard, the reason why I talk about modesty, or the reason why I really stand with God, because of who I was before to who I am today. God could have kept me in my filth, but he actually came down and he rescued me. And he didn't leave me there. And I used to hate myself at some point. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. But when God stepped in, he showed me something greater. He showed me that I am worthy. He cleansed me. And he took me from being that girl walking down to that house and directed my path to walk to the light. But I had to give him that darkness. And it could be somebody watching this video that is afraid to give God that darkness. Trust and believe he already knows. He already knows the darkness you're facing, but he cannot release that darkness until you open that door. And trust me, it's not going to be easy. You see me crying today. I've been delivered for probably a couple months now, and I'm crying like a baby, like I'm just telling my story all over again. But to receive the love, the peace, the hope that God has for us, and the cleanseness from the trauma that's there, you gotta open up that darkness door. And it won't be easy for you. I'm gonna just tell you that now. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it to you. It's gonna hurt opening that door, because it feel like you can feel those emotions and that trauma all over again, even though it could have happened 10 years ago. But I was trapped in years in the same cycle. Years, same cycle. Years, same cycle. And I didn't understand why I couldn't feel love. My husband can refill this love, but I can't. This love he's talking about, what is this? I can't feel that. And I couldn't feel it until I opened up that can of worms. And it made me to the person I am today. And God can cleanse you. He can refine you. He can give you that peace, that love. But you must give it to him. And I'm on this camera today. I didn't want to be. I wanted to keep this door closed. But I have to expose it, because it's not for me. It's to help somebody that's out there that's trapped in a cycle, but they don't understand why and who they can go to help them. The only person that's going to help you is Jesus. He's the only authority that can heal a trauma like that, or any trauma that's that dark. He's your only hope to get that feeling out and become the person that he wants you to become. So if you got this far, thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry I cried on the thing. I usually don't do that, but I just wanted to be open and honest with you guys. In a lot of our videos, you might just see that I was perfect. I was not who I am today. I was a dark girl in darkness and filth. And I was down a lot of paths, and trust, I have more stories to tell you guys. But I thank you guys for watching this video. And make sure you guys stay in tune for the next video we will be revealing.